right, hello everybody. Welcome to Disruption. I'm your host, Nick Lefebvre. This is the show that digests and debates ideas that affect and impact the world of strength sports and bodybuilding. We all know that success only comes from change. And in order to start making change, you first need a little disruption. That's what this show is trying to do. Disrupt how we currently think about strength and bodybuilding in order to find new ways of thinking about the sports and our involvement in them. We're not here to solve or rant, just to maybe offer a little bit of the kind of insight that might change sports culture as a whole. I'm joined of course, here by my co-host, Christian Matyi. Christian, how you doing?
Hi, I'm okay, and I'm not going to read a script. No, Nick, you're doing great. You're doing great. Is he doing great? No, put in the comments below if he's doing great. I think he's doing great.
Flop.
No, you're fine. You're doing awesome.
All right, so you wanted to surprise me with an interesting, so you say, topic for today. So I'm going to get blindsided, guys, and we'll see if this is worth anything interesting or if Christian's just here to shovel me.
Oh, totally going to shovel. Surprise! No, I actually had an interesting conversation with someone. So it comes from this bodybuilder that I met at a contest. And this guy, he was like a professional. He was a teacher. He was very successful. He actually also has a past in, I think, semi-pro football. It was basketball. The point is he had all these other identities. And when I was talking to him, he said something that threw me off a little bit. He said, I am not a bodybuilder. And he convinced me. And he convinced me so much that, Nick, I got to say, you're not a bodybuilder. I'm not a bodybuilder. And let me explain what I'm saying. It's like he had a different take on that term. He said, I don't walk around saying I'm a bodybuilder in the same way that, let's just say you're in outer space and you're an astronaut and you have your spacesuit on. Yeah, you're a spaceman because you're out in space. But if you came back down to Earth and you put on that spacesuit, you wouldn't be a spaceman. You're just a guy wearing a spacesuit. In other words, you're only a spaceman when you're out in space. Then when you're on Earth, you're just a regular dude in a costume. And that's how he saw bodybuilding. He's like, I don't think it makes sense, he said, to go around saying I am a bodybuilder in the same way he says, teaching is my job. It's my career. But I don't go around saying that's all I am. I am a teacher. And now I am he said, I'm a bodybuilder when I'm at a competition, and in the gym, I enjoy bodybuilding. He said, I think that people.
But I go around all day wearing posing trunks and flexing. So
that's you. Yeah, because you like to. But that's what he was saying, is that he thinks that the reason why bodybuilding has gotten so kind of messed up is people are walking around as if that identity was actually something that described them as people. And then when I thought about it, I'm like,
as if it were enough to constitute their identity.
Yeah. And then I thought about it, because every once in a while I'm in an environment professionally or more often among academics or artists. And I really don't want to say that I am a bodybuilder. And if it ever comes up, I will say, well, yeah, I do competitions. And I explain it that way, that it's a thing I do. And it's a thing I enjoy. But I don't want it to be walking around to the general public, I am a bodybuilder. Now, maybe if it is authentically a career, a Mr. Olympia Jay Cutler, I can see why they might just say I'm a bodybuilder, because they literally do that for work.
Yeah.
But as I don't do it for work, and 99% of competitors don't do it for work, I think it's a weird thing that people, I've begun to realize it's a weird thing that people walk around saying, I'm a powerlifter, I'm a bodybuilder, I am a strongman. It's really, where's the contest? To me, you just look like a dude in a t-shirt.
I mean, how many people do you really know that define themselves solely by that one term?
I don't think people define themselves solely, but I should turn that question on you. How often are you talking to a dude, some bro on Instagram or whatever, who's like, yeah, I'm a bodybuilder or I'm a powerlifter? And they just say it like that, as if it's I'm blonde, as if it was just that. And
I don't honestly know. And I don't know that I've ever defined myself by that to at least the general public. I might say I might say that I compete if I'm talking to other people who share that common interest. But in general, I mean, it's not really something that I wouldn't introduce myself to somebody as a bodybuilder. If somebody,
are you a bodybuilder or not? Right now, are you a bodybuilder?
I mean, I hate to underwhelm your whole premise here, but or undermine your whole premise here, but I guess I would say that I bodybuild.
It's something you enjoy, right? But you are not a that's the thing. No, you're not. You're totally proving my premise. I
Yeah.
think that his premise, and he was very smart by this, is that one of the things that's messing us up is that people want, like, they do this thing and then they somehow want to wear it around as if it's like an everyday, every minute thing. It's why people get lost in it. It's why people get caught up in it. And it's why it gets too serious. It's why things get all messy, is because everyone walks around saying, I am a bodybuilder. I am a CrossFitter. And we somehow have said in society, it's okay to make that your identity. And it's like, no, it's just something you enjoy doing, bro.
I think people do that for a lot of things. I mean, it's not just bodybuilding that's guilty of that, or, bodybuilders that are proponents of that. I mean, people do it with all types of things. Like you said, powerlifting, football, other athletics. People even do that with, their careers. I'm a stockbroker. I'm a lawyer. I'm a doctor.
Sure. But the difference there is that they're doing it for like the majority of hours of their week.
Arguably, yeah, but they still have to be a person the rest of those hours, right?
Right. But what I'm saying is that it's kind of like if I were to say, I'm not saying you have to be in competition 24/7 to be a bodybuilder, but I guess how he put it is that I go to the gym, I bodybuild in the gym,
Right.
and then on the day of the contest, I become a bodybuilder for that day. And then the next day, I go back to being a dude who loves moving weight, who likes to bodybuild, who worries about his aesthetics, and that's who I am.
Arguably,
and it's like you're only a bodybuilder on the day of the contest.
It's being a little bit reductive. I mean, at the end of the day, those actions, the food that he's eating, if he's doing it consistently, the actions he's taking in the gym, those all contribute towards the summation of those actions on that day where he's a bodybuilder. So arguably, those are all actions that are contributing to his status as a bodybuilder. So, I mean, to be honest with you, I'd have to say that he still has to be a bodybuilder more than that one day. He's not fucking swimming 30 hours a week and then going up on stage. He's not.
I disagree. Like, this is good. This is
powerlifting or training for strength 4 days a week and then getting up on stage. Like, there's hypertrophy training. There are all the principles of bodybuilding involved on a daily basis leading up to that show. What about the 6 months where he's dieting down to get stage lean? Is he not a bodybuilder then? He's just a guy on limited calories, or what?
I think this is exactly disruption, because I see we are disagreeing, and I think it's good. Maybe it's not a deep disagreement, but I suddenly realize I'm only a bodybuilder when, like, as an identity in competition, or maybe like in the gym when I'm lifting. I'm actually a bodybuilder when I'm lifting, and
yeah, it's
and that's when I am one.
That day, even that day, it's not an identity. It's just something that you're doing.
Well, that's you are a bodybuilder.
Is more than that day. It's all the actions leading up to that day. That's what gets you to that point.
That is bodybuilding. So you are doing bodybuilding, and you are a bodybuilder. So when are you a bodybuilder and when are you not?
Yeah, if you are doing bodybuilding, then at some point, either by proxy or whatever, you're still a bodybuilder if you're taking all the actions that are required by bodybuilding. Does that make sense?
That's what I'm saying, is that what is that point? And I think that people assume that point is a lot sooner and a lot more frequent. As he was talking, he convinced me of that.
Making it very like...
right now, I'm not a bodybuilder and you're not a bodybuilder. Right this second.
As we
nothing we're doing is contributing.
Discussing bodybuilding. Well, no, I mean, you're making it very, very two-dimensional. You're like summarily, all or no actions defined as being a bodybuilder, but that's not the case. What's to say this guy can't be a bodybuilder and a teacher? What's to say?
No, he is. Sure. That's his point.
So how is he any less of a teacher on that day than he is any more of a bodybuilder on that day?
Well, I think that what he was getting at is that how society then reflects upon us. And I think that that's why I agree with it, because there's a lot of people who are professionals or in careers that actually it's much easier to circumvent the stereotype and not identify yourself that way. It's just as a hobby, like, it's all right, let people figure it out, but don't like, I'm a bodybuilder, you know what I mean? And I think that's what he was getting at, is that the idea that you have to own the moniker to be the thing is what we take too seriously, and that's what I was like, yeah, that's kind of true, because a lot of the times while I am doing bodybuilding or contributing to bodybuilding, I am not a bodybuilder, you know, like because it's like, it's not exactly who I am. You know what I mean?
That goes for anything, man. There's people that bring that whole thing to a whole other spectrum. I've talked to people that were 3 generations born and raised in America, and they say, I'm Irish, and they have fucking Irish tattoos and Celtic knots and like live this whole weird fucking persona. Sorry, buddy, you're American. Your whole family.
Well, that's exactly. Like, what point? That's a good way of putting it. At what point does one's, whether you agree with that specific point, at what point does one's nationality or one's like suddenly override their heritage?
Yeah, or any you know, sub niche culture, punk rock, you know.
Like I am a punk, am I not? Yeah.
Anything like that. I mean, there's plenty of people that get I think that people that are a little bit lost or maybe don't have other things that they're as passionate about in their life tend to substitute any one thing that they're passionate about as their identity. But at the end of the day, all of those people still have to go home and be boyfriends, brothers, sisters, family members, significant others, fathers, mothers, all of those things. Just because they are also a bodybuilder, you're making it this like whole single thing. Well, only be a bodybuilder.
All I'm trying to do, let me put a cork on it.
No, this guy's trying to do. No, he's saying he can only be a bodybuilder on that day because he's competing in bodybuilding. In actuality, sure, he's competing in bodybuilding. He's just tanned up and posing on stage. Does that really make him a bodybuilder, or is it the years of prep that go into it and lifting weights and dieting and everything like that? This is exactly the disruption. Analogy. Hear me out. There's an analogy where they talk about, and I forget where I heard this, but someone's talking about bamboo farmers. And so I supposedly, and I haven't researched this at all, but the metaphor is, you plant a bamboo seed and it takes, 5 years of consistently watering it, caring for it, making sure the soil is, all good and shit like that. And then on the 4th or 5th year, whatever it is, it sprouts. And then it takes like 9 weeks or some number before it's like 6 feet tall. How long does it take? My question for you is, how long would you say that it takes to grow that bamboo? Does it grow in 5 years plus, a couple weeks, or does it grow in the 9 weeks that it takes to grow 6 feet?
That is exactly my point.
Which one is it?
You're making my point that it's about
Which one is it?
By disrupting our thought about in other words, I don't think there's a clean answer. No, I don't think there's my opinion is that there is no clean answer to it. And I think that's exactly the point I'm trying to make is like, how are we over owning or under owning a label is kind of what I was just bringing up. And for years I would say, yeah, I'm a bodybuilder, and I'd say it begrudgingly. And this one dude snapped my head into place. He disrupted my thinking by saying, he's like, yeah, the rest of the time I'm not really a bodybuilder. I've always lifted weights. I've always enjoyed it. It's created this result. And in the past few months, I honed it for a competition. He's like, don't know that I'm really a bodybuilder. I'm a competitor, he said. And on this day, I am a bodybuilder because this is what I did. He's like, generally speaking, I'd be throwing weights around and having fun regardless. You know what I mean?
Sure. Wouldn't we all? I mean, I hope most people do it. My question.
Because everyone needs to lift more.
My question for him would be, and it sucks he's not here to answer it, but what does he define as a bodybuilder? Is it somebody that does it for their career, or?
My question for him would be, who let me dress like this and do a podcast? That would be my question.
Yeah. You look like you live up here and I should be down there.
I don't know how I got on. You should really, my identity as a lumbro jack, I think needs to be questioned. So I think at the end point. This is pretty good. Interesting. Is it not interesting though?
I was a little bit underwhelmed. I was expecting something dramatic. You built it up so much,
Well, if I would say this, if the listeners have a comment, it would be good to hear if people think I'm just
I would love to hear what other people have to say about this. Absolutely. Leave us a comment below, whether about this show or a topic you guys maybe want us to discuss, anything like that. Thank you, everybody, for joining us on Disruption. We hope we were able to provide a different perspective for anybody listening. This show is brought to you today by SciSay Sports, the makers of Wrecked Pre-Workout. Learn more at www.scisaysports.com. That's SAISEI sports.com. We'll include the link in the description below. Today's show was produced by myself, Nick Lefebvre, along with Christian Matyi and the Physiculture Collaborative.
Thank you.
Yeah. Please be sure to leave a comment below and definitely subscribe for future episodes of Disruption. Christian, anything you want to say?
No, just subscribe. And this was a good topic, so subscribe again and we'll watch Nick bomb.
All right. Thanks again from all of us at SciSay Sports. Until next time, keep disrupting what you think you know in order to keep improving what you can become.